Hey, it's Recap Friday. I'm going to be going over the podcast that I covered earlier in the week. I look forward to seeing you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Welcome back to your Reality Check Friday. This is your recap. I'm going to be talking about the podcast that I covered previously in the week, everything from this and everything from that. And I'm going to start it off by talking about the Steve Brown story. And I got some great positive feedback from that episode and about putting it all on the line, putting all your chips in, and that ability to jump and actually feel free. And I want to let you know is that you know you're doing the right thing when you do put all your chips in the middle, when you do jump. When you do that and you feel a sense of, wow, that was just a great feeling, or you did it, or you're relieved, I think you're going the right direction. I think you can find your purpose in that moment. It's where the ones where you, man, I don't know if I should do this or not, or that's not the question. When you know you should do it, you know it in your heart, you must do it. And the only thing that you're going to do is do it because you're obsessed about it. And if you don't do it, it's going to bother you in the long run. You're going to get to a place in your life where you're going to have some regrets. All too often, I look back and I'm like, how many times did I have the opportunity to jump and I didn't because I was afraid? How many times should I have jumped, but I didn't? And that ties into the next part is the power of the positivity in the mastermind. One of the podcasts I did last week is when you look at it, when you surround yourself with positivity and opportunities come where you can jump, it makes it so much easier. So the people that you align yourself with and the goals that you currently have, you really do want to bring all this together because it gives you the opportunity to know that, I can do this with certainty because you're surrounded by the right people. My wife currently, if I came home and I said to her that, hey, listen, I'm going to focus 100% on publishing this book and promoting the book, and that's all I'm going to do. And it's going to be lean for a minute or two, but are you okay with that? She would say, you should have done it, months ago. That's great. That's something I want to do, but I'm trying to ride two horses. And as I learned from my buddy, Sam Crowley, one of the biggest podcasters out there, who I'm actually friends with, although we've never met, but we are friends. He had said, your ass can't ride two horses. So I'm going to pursue my day job and getting to the goals and getting to that point in my life where I can look back at that and say, I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. It's important to me. And that's my purpose now. Now, there's other goals that I mentioned too, as far as earning a certain dollar amount and doing that within a year's time. That's going to have to happen on some other stuff that I'm doing, but I can't take away from the current horse that I'm current riding right now and where I want to go. This Friday recap can be a lot, and I think I don't want to lose anybody on here, but the word focus comes into mind as I'm actually trying to stay focused on this recap. Follow one course until successful. So my one course is to make sure that the operation that I'm running becomes successful. And I'm doing that with the processes and the people and the culture that we have there in order to be successful. And successful is when we win. And when we win, there's certain numbers and objectives that we want to hit. And when we hit that, then everybody wins. The three brands that I represent, all the people that are there, and all the customers win as well, because it's supposed to be a great experience for the customers and the employees. And that's part of the culture. And when you look at this, let's go back to the Steve Brown story. When a guy goes out and does that and he's living in his purpose and his passion, time is not an obstacle at that point. Time is your friend. Relationships help you to move you along further. You get more and more support because the universe, the world, your friends realize that you're doing exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing in your life. And where the challenge comes is that people are unhappy or people get into bad relationships or bad finances or eating or physical stuff. When all of that happens, it's because you're wanting and you're not living in the moment. It's really where the challenge comes is that you want these things and you're not comfortable wanting these things. So what you end up doing is you find distractions, you find perfection. I can't do this until this situation's ideally right. I'm not going to be able to do this until this person does that. All the excuses show up. But when you look in the mirror naked and you say to yourself, what are my excuses? This is where I've gotten myself at this point in my life. I'm going to take 100% responsibility for where I'm at. You're going to have to write that down and do that thing that I mentioned also too this week, mind storming. How can I blank in blank time? How can I earn $3 million in 1 year? How can I lose 40 pounds in 6 months? And then you have to write out 20 answers. And then you have to share that with a mastermind. You have to share that with other people so that you're on the right path. And you have to do that daily. You have to keep asking yourself those amazing questions. Clarity is power, according to Tony Robbins. And I will share with you this. The more clear your questions, the more clarity that you have, the better the response is going to be. And the better your brain is going to be able to answer those questions. When things fall into alignment, it happens very quickly and things start coming your way. There is a couple of times in my life that I did jump, and I'm so grateful that I did. I could name those. We could talk about those. But if you go to the Facebook group, which is Team No Comfort Zone, we talk about that in there, about those moments that you become aware of where you're at. You identify what you need to do. You decide to take action. What happened in that moment? Because we're going to build that. We're going to keep building on that until you get to the point where, these tiny, minor habits, these certain things that you're making these decisions on will help you to get that momentum going so that when the greater challenges come, you can blow past them. And that's really what this is all about. It has been about little tiny decisions in these comfort zones that push you through. So when the big opportunity comes for you to really show up and be that version of yourself that you need to be to handle those big obstacles, to get the huge reward, you're already ready for it. It doesn't really sound sexy, and a lot of people don't like it. But when you ask a guy like Steve Brown, Steve, how did it go when you put all your chips in the middle, when you cashed in all that money to buy all those watches and then started reselling them? And you started one at a time, by the way, but when it came to a bigger opportunity where you had to go spend a lot of money, ask him about it. Best decision he ever made, scariest decision he ever made, but it was one of the most worthwhile decisions he ever made, because now he's able to provide for himself and his family in this capacity. I think it's just a strong thing to talk about this week, because where are you at right now, wherever you're at in the world? Are you in a position where you're hoping, wanting, wishing, waiting for the next right thing to happen? My friend, you need to make it happen. You need to be in that position where you find yourself in that brief minute, in that moment. What are you going to do right now? What is that choice that you're willing to make? Here, I'll share with you this. Talked about it too, the knee surgery. You probably guys are getting bored of hearing about it, but so I'm dealing with it. I get the bandages off today. Not a big deal, but it's a lot of pain for me. It's really uncomfortable. It's knowing I have to sit here, but you know what? Every 2 hours, bam, I'm up and I got to do my little lap around the living room. I got to walk from the living room to the hallway, to the kitchen, to the dining room, back to my office and walk around. And I got to do that just to keep the damn thing moving, because I don't want to get stiff. I don't want to get locked up. And I'm already committing to a training regimen starting Wednesday on my upper body. And that's going to be interesting too. But you got to ask yourself, what are you willing to do right now? So in the next 15 minutes, you're going to have a 15-minute block. Start something. Take action now. This is the Friday recap for a reason. We're bringing all of this stuff together that we talked about during the week, and we're putting it into one podcast so you can get a rough idea of what's going on. You're going to have to separate. You're going to have to separate from some people, because believe you me, not everyone's your friend. And you got to quit acting like that. You're going to have to realize that it's okay to actually have a human moment where you realize that, you know what? You're not going to agree with everybody. You're not going to be the most accepted. But truth be told, is you have a point of view and you have an opinion, and you have to lean into that. You have to stand up for yourself. When that time comes, you have to be one of those 2% that's willing to stand up and fight for yourself. And I talk about that in one of the podcasts too. It's time to stand and deliver. Remember, those 2% of the people, when you stand up to somebody, most people will stop. When you lean a little bit, they'll back up. When you lunge, they're gone. They'll disappear. And sometimes that just has to come down to your level of certainty. And you're not going to get any certainty until you have conviction. And the only way you're going to get conviction is you have to start with confidence. And that's kind of going through the backward 3 C's. But again, a lot to talk about on this podcast. But where are you at right now in the world? And where are you at currently? And if you're at a position right now where you're hoping, wanting, wishing, and waiting, it's time for you to take that step forward. It's time for you to lean into your life. Go to dan@thenocomfortzone.com, dan@thenocomfortzone.com, and I would love to hear about what's going on. I would love to connect you to the team Facebook group. I would love to get 3 people in this program and just show you exactly what will happen after 60 days of doing this. You will come out unrecognizable. And there's some of you people that are out there right now that are asking yourselves right now, yeah, you know what? I'm just not sure. You know, don't really know what to do. Here's what I'm telling you right now. What have you got to lose? It doesn't cost you anything. It's going to be pretty much you go up and you say exactly what it is you want to say. You confess your sins of where it is that you want to be. And it's time for you to rock and roll and move forward. It's time for you to put everything on the line. It's time for you to jump. And the way that you jump is dan@thenocomfortzone.com. How do you get in? Or you can go directly to thenocomfortzone.com. And the nocomfortzone.com will get you to my calendar. You'll schedule some time and I'll reach out and I'll give you a call. We'll talk about where we're at and we'll also talk about where it is that we want to go, as my dog is barking in the background. Totally embarrassing, but I'm still going to publish this because you know what? This is me getting out of my comfort zone. It doesn't have to be perfect, just has to get going, right? So listen, I hope this podcast finds you well. It's my hope that you know that I believe in you. I believe you're worthy and you're worthwhile. And today is the day to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.